Hello there. Thank you for joining us on a new episode of Tech Trends as we seek out innovation and creativity that are unique to Africa. On the program this week, as part of International Women's Day celebration, tech giants Google and the UK Tech Hub in Nigeria partnered to award $3 million in Google Cloud credits to women founders in Nigeria. And I had a chat with Chizara Michiaga, CEO of Climb Technologies, on the continued tech layoff trend, as well as SVB closure. We'll give you more in a moment. Do stay with us. I am Olayemi Odunuga. Welcome to the program.
The quality, relevance, and impact of the products and services output by the technology sector can only be improved by having the people who are building them be demographically representative of the people who are using them.
To commemorate the International Women's Day in March, tech giants Google and the UK Tech Hub in Nigeria have partnered to award $3 million in Google Cloud credits to women founders in the country in order to further bridge the gender gap in the tech ecosystem. Speaking at an event held in Lagos, the Deputy British High Commissioner to Nigeria, who listed some women-specific programs launched this month, says the partnership is in continuance of the UK government's commitment to supporting women to break barriers in the male-dominated tech space.
In the year 2022, female-owned enterprises in the African tech ecosystem raised between $188 to $203 million as they pitched their ideas to investors, partners, and ecosystem stakeholders globally, a far cry from the $4.6 billion raised by their male counterparts, and also recorded a decline from the $290 million raised in 2021.
What criteria do you use to evaluate and select?
Women founders, investors, and ecosystem stakeholders are seated in this hall at the behest of the UK Tech Hub in Nigeria in partnership with Google for Startups to brainstorm on why women raise far less.
We are here because we want to drive the impact. So as founders and entrepreneurs, I think it's really, really important, and I say this all the time, you've got to do your homework on who you're speaking to and what investors you're speaking to. You've got to be clear on understanding what their mandate also is.
What gap is your proposition trying to fill? Or is it just for bragging rights? Or is it because somebody else is doing it and is seemingly successful? Or you truly want to do this? This is the reason why you are doing it. This is the gap that you have identified in the marketplace, and therefore this is what you want to do. It has to be crystal clear.
The partners then shed more light on the partnership to award $3 million in Google Cloud credits to women founders in Nigeria.
It's so important for us to lean in proactively and very consciously in supporting women entrepreneurs in just really showcasing themselves, in having the tools and the empowerment to be able to attract all the support that they need, including funding, to be able to grow their businesses. And that's what this partnership is all about.
This is just the beginning of the conversation. Today is the Google Cloud Credit, where they no longer have to worry about certain aspects of their technology and they focus on innovation. We're having engagements with investors and many of such type things, and they need to just stay close and keep their ears closed. We're here to make sure that every woman in Nigeria who is functioning in the tech ecosystem has a great chance of success.
The British Deputy High Commissioner says the UK government is unwavering in its commitment to empowering women, as this is one of many other programs.
What we're doing is looking at a collaboration with Google, specifically on $3 million worth of kind of credit that female businesses and business owners in the tech space can engage with. And that's coupled with the work we've already done ourselves on the Future Females Business School and the Angels Academy, essentially Angels Academy around trying to encourage investment in female tech across Africa, but here in Nigeria. And the Future Females Business School really looking at how we can get women involved and empowered and able to benefit, frankly, from the opportunities that Nigeria has. So it's a tough space. I mean, it's a good space, tech, but it's a tough space to make progress. So really, we're trying to do everything we can to support women in that space given the importance of women, not just to the economy, but really to the future of tech.
Venture capital on the continent has been relatively successful. It has helped less than 3% of startups with female founders. It is hoped that gatherings like this will shape the understanding of the participants in the technology funding landscape and position them to secure the funding they require moving forward. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
Google has unveiled a flurry of artificial intelligence tools for its email, collaboration, and cloud software. In a replay of February's dwelling chatbot launches by the tech giant, Alphabet, Google's parent company, touted a magic wand for its popular Google Docs software that can draft a marketing blog, training plan, or other text, then revise its tone at users' discretion. Microsoft, meanwhile, has teased about how it is reinventing productivity with AI, which is expected to showcase its competing word processor. Alphabet also said its AI will be able to summarize message threads in Gmail, craft slide presentations, personalize customer outreach, and take meeting notes as part of its upgrade to Google Workspace, a product suite with billions of users on free and paid accounts. The advances reflect how ChatGPT has spurred a race in Silicon Valley to imbue products with so-called generative AI, which learns from past data how to create content anew, just like the chatbot sensation. Microsoft, Alphabet, and peers are investing billions of dollars to build and deploy the technology, hoping businesses that win from speeding up writing and creative tasks for office workers will far outweigh the costs of these endeavors. Google also unveiled a range of generative AI tools for its cloud computing customers, for instance, previewing access to Palm, one of its most powerful large language models that creates human-like text. Google said customers can fine-tune its AI model with their own data while keeping the information and benefits proprietary. In another enterprise software example, Google showed how a fictional furniture business could build better customer service chatbots capable of generating images as well as text, like showing how a corgi dog would look on a mid-century modern chair. A promotional video showed the chatbot could integrate with a payment system so a shopper then could buy the chair. According to the video, Google aims for its AI to transform the work of marketers, lawyers, scientists, and educators. The Mountain View, California-based company announced a partnership with high-profile AI research lab Midjourney with Google to provide cloud infrastructure, including its custom TPU chips. Microsoft's generative AI rollout so far has outpaced that of Alphabet, which is wary of societal harm as well as damage to its reputation as a reliable source of information. A team of biomedical engineers in Australia have developed a small flexible robot that can be used to 3D print biomaterials directly inside the human body in the hopes of streamlining future medical procedures. "3D bioprinting is a process where natural tissue-like structures are printed using bio-ink and living cells in order to repair internal harm such as organ or tissue damage or ruptured blood vessels. The use of living cells in the printing process allows these man-made structures to fuse naturally with the human body and continue to grow. Currently, biomaterials must be created outside of the body before relying on typically invasive surgery to insert the materials inside the body, which can lead to high blood loss, infections, and other complications. Team leader Dr. Dale said this new device, named F3DB, will eliminate those complications and risks by printing directly inside the body using a natural orifice such as the mouth or anus, similar to an endoscopic tool.
So the currently no commercially available technology can perform direct 3D printing inside the human body. Some technology have been proposed to check the handheld device, but they only limited at the skin surface only, and so they make from the rigid materials, and therefore they don't have enough flexibility to insert inside the human body and perform the 3D printing.
F3DB features a 3-axis printing head that can bend and twist using hydraulics on the tip of a soft robotic arm. The printing nozzle can print pre-programmed shapes or can be operated manually if more complex or undetermined printing is required. The smallest prototype has a diameter of approximately 11 to 13 millimeters, similar to a commercial endoscope, but it could be scaled even smaller in the future.
The current 3D bioprinting technology, they yield a large form factor of 3D printer machine like this. And then if they want to implement the biomaterial, for example, this one, it's very fragile and easy to broken. And then they have to open the human body like this, then do the implantation. But this technology, they have a lot of limitation, high infection risk, and high blood loss. In the lab, we try to scale this machine into the smaller version, like this device, and then we can insert into the human body using natural orifice like the mouth or the anus, and even we can use with a minimally invasive surgery.
The device's printing nozzle can be altered to act as a scalpel and water jet to provide a wider range of applications and act as an all-in-one endoscopic tool. Practitioners could use the scalpel to conduct tissue dissections or remove cancerous tumors, then use the water jet to clean the lesion before bioprinting directly onto the wound to speed up the healing process. The team also tested the cell viability of the living biomaterials after being printed by F3DB. Results showed that the majority of cells were alive post-printing and continued to grow over the next week. 4 times as many cells were observed 7 days after printing.
So our technology was designed like all-in-one device. So it means they not only can perform the in situ printing inside the bodies, but they can be used like the endoscopic surgical device that they can remove a certain type of cancer tumor. For example, they can cut the tissue and then they can clean the tissue, and after that we can 3D print biomaterial to speed up the healing process.
F3DB ability to print internally is due to the use of soft robotics and artificial muscles, which Do and his team developed last year.
Soft robots is very good for working with the human body because they mostly make from soft materials such as silicon elastomer, and therefore they can offer the safe interaction with the living body. Second thing, that soft robot, they can offer high flexibility and adaptability. It means they can reach to any area inside the human body.
Do believes that the device is on track for commercialization in the next 5 to 7 years, pending further clinical trials.
Welcome back. Since the beginning of 2023, tens of thousands of employees have been laid off at tech-related companies, a trend many thought would have ended by now. Headlines of mass layoffs keep piling up as many wonder if they should still consider getting a job in tech. Overhiring during the pandemic, economic downturn, inflation, high interest rates have all been blamed for these job cuts and hiring freezes. But is there a deeper meaning to the layoffs? My guest, Chizara Michiaga, CEO of Climb Technologies, discusses this and the SVB closure.
What's happening is that most tech companies have been forced to lay off their employees because of the overhiring they did in the last 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic and all. So there was a growth in online services, shopping, remote work. So most of them increased their hiring to meet that demand. So now that the effects of the pandemic are worn off, as it were, there are now inflationary pressures, there's a coming global economic recession. Some experts say we're already in it, some say we are about to enter it. And then there's also a bleak economic outlook for 2023 and possibly through to 2024. So most of them have been forced to cut jobs. So it's not all their fault. It's most of these macroeconomic issues at play.
But at the end of 2022, there were hopes that this cold tech winter, as some would like to call it, would stop. But that doesn't seem to be the case right now. Why do you think that is?
Okay, so it's largely macroeconomic factors. So things like the Russia-Ukraine war, there's a tech Cold War of sorts between the US and China over microchip technology. So US is trying to get most of that manufacturing in country. There's the effects of the pandemic that was at play, and the effects are still at play. So this tech winter is still on, and from all indications, it may even last into 2024.
So with tens of thousands of workers suddenly, out of jobs, what effect is this having on the labor market?
Okay, so since October 2022 till date, so most of the big tech companies globally have laid off, from data, roughly about 500,000 jobs, and there are still more job cuts coming this year. So this layoff will definitely negatively impact employee morale, their mental health, and all of that. So it will also affect workplace innovation, collaboration, and even the quality of work they do. So most people will be scared, thinking, okay, are they the next in line to lose their job? So most likely there will be a drop in productivity in the workplace. So, but the thing is that despite the impact of these layoffs, most of these laid off workers will still find new employment. Some of them will get part-time employment, and they even stand a better chance of getting jobs and even new job seekers. So it will even lead to more openings for remote work, and it will bring savings for the employers in terms of their monthly wage bill. So if you have less people on staff, you streamline to people who are very good at what they do. So when you bring in remote workers to supplement that, it will just be on an as-need basis.
But what do these layoffs really tell us? Because at first it seemed that the companies embarking on these job cuts were trying to mitigate certain problems they believed the layoffs would address.
Okay, so a major reason why these companies are laying off staff is that they need to show improved revenue growth and profit to their shareholders. So they are for-profit companies, they are not NGOs, so they need to show that they're actually making money and giving returns to their investors. So that, and there's also something that's at play that needs to be discussed, which is also the funding winter. So most venture capital firms are not investing as much as they used to, largely because of things that have been happening in the market. So there's a lot of focus by venture capital firms on profitability. So the old mantra that is growth at all costs, where people are just scaling, hiring, just doing their regular activities, are not even looking at are they making any profits. All that is changing. So these companies don't have that much money like before. They don't have access to growth funding. So they need to clean up in-house and become more lean and focus on profitability.
Let's now take this conversation to financial issues now. What happened with SVB and how is it impacting the startup ecosystem?
Okay, so the issue with the SVB, that is the Silicon Valley Bank, was that they put too much of their funds into long-term treasury and mortgage bonds. And those treasury and mortgage bonds usually give small but reliable returns, right? And as we know, there's an inflationary setting in the market. So inflation struck. The Federal Reserve, which is their own version of the central bank, had to raise benchmark interest rates by 4.5%. So the SVB bonds lost value when that happened, and the Feds have still been increasing the interest rates steadily. So with the tech industry facing difficulties like we've talked about, most of the large tech companies, their clients had to pull out money from SVB. So what it is that you have this money tied in this long-term investment. So SVB had to sell those securities to give cash to customers, because customers, when they request their money, you have to give them their money. You can't tell them no, it's not there. So this vulnerable condition, it affected the balance sheet of SVB. So because it scared, when that started happening, it scared other depositors, and it prompted what you call a bank run, where like almost all your customers are coming and asking you for funds. So let's say you have, they knew that they invested 40 billion, but let's say you've taken out 30 billion and put in these treasury and mortgage bonds. So if everybody comes at the same time asking you to give them that 40 billion, you only have 10 billion left. You can't go and unlock those funds, as it were. Those things mature over time. So that's a typical scenario of what you call a bank run. So the bank just simply didn't have enough money to pay all the depositors. So that's what led to the collapse.
And how are startups and founders, especially African founders, how are they reacting to this?
So a lot of them are being cautious. So it's affecting startups, it's affecting other traditional enterprises that are invested in them. So a lot of them will now have to do more due diligence on the kind of banks they put their monies in. So instead of people just looking at, oh, this is a big name bank, let's just go deposit money there, they will do more due diligence. So they will start asking questions like, okay, if I put my funds here, what exactly is this bank doing with my funds? Do they have enough cash reserve? So if I need like $1 million to pay for salaries this month, are they able to redeem it when I need it? Or they will need to tell me, oh, sorry, give us some months. So a lot of these startups will have to be doing due diligence, whether it's African founders or even foreign founders who are putting money in these banks. So a lot of due diligence, and they also have to diversify. So a lot of them will be like, okay, instead of just putting all our money in this bank, why don't we spread it across banks so it reduces their risk? So that's what is going to be happening going forward.
What does this mean for tech companies in the near term?
Okay, so looking at what has been happening in the recent months, so there are a lot of companies who are doing a lot of screening to hire the right talent. So there's also going to be a shift from the initial focus on quantity. So people want to brag that, oh, our staff strength, we have like 50 staff, 200 staff. Because the conversation is going to shift now. So most of these companies are going to focus on quality over quantity, both in terms of the staff they hire and how their revenue model, how they run their business. So instead of saying we have 200 staff and a lot of them are just coming, taking tea, snapping pictures and posting on Instagram, you want to be sure that you have if you even have 15, 20 solid staff delivering results, it's better for you. So you even pay them or give them better packages, so the chances of them leaving is less. So, but then there's also going to be an increased focus on revenue growth and profitability. So a lot of them are going to be looking at it and be like, wait, it's better for us to even have 100,000 customers who are paying us $6 a month than to just be throwing out vanity metrics that we have 10 million customers and none of them is paying you a dime. So we've seen that happen with Twitter. We see Facebook talking about plans to introduce paid for stuff. So it's happening to big tech companies, smaller companies. Everybody is tightening their belt. So it's now focused on quality over quantity in terms of staffing and revenue growth and profitability over just large number of users. So that's where the trend is shifting to.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Chizaram. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. It was good being here.
That's all we have for you on our lineup this week. Thank you for staying with us. As always, Tech Trends is here to share insights, trends, and developments happening within the tech space. If you missed any part of the program, you can always catch up on the Channels TV YouTube account where we have all of our episodes, and I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite editions. Until next time, I am Olayemi Odunuga. Bye for now.